Become a Solidity smart contract developer in 1 month with the condition apply. I'll talk about this condition at the end of the video, but let me give you a complete roadmap for a Solidity developer. If you are totally beginner or advanced or intermediate developer, that what are the things you have to learn in Solidity programming language. But before I talk about the entire roadmap, we have to understand few things, that every single programming language has commonality and it has its uniqueness, the way it works. What I have done, I have divided this entire roadmap in couple of modules. So the very first module we'll have is primitive data type. The second one we'll have is variable. The third one we'll have is constant. The fourth one we'll have is immutable. The fifth one we'll have is reading and writing to a state variable. The sixth one we'll have is ether. What's a way? You have to know the difference. The seventh one we'll have is gas and gas price. This will help you to optimize. The eighth one will have is if else statement. The ninth one will have is for and while loop. 10th module will have is mapping. The 11th module will have is array. The 12th module will have is enum. The 13th module will have is struct. The 14th module will have is data location, storage, memory and call data. This module will have function. After function will have view and pure module. After that we'll have error module. Then we'll have function module, a function modifier, events, constructor, inheritance, shadowing, inheritance state variables, calling parent contract, visibility, inheritance, payable, sending ether via transfer method, sell method and send method. Then we have fallback, then we have sell, then we have delegated calls, then we have function selector, then we have calling other contract, then we have creating contract from a contract, then we have try catch, then we have import, we have library, we have ABI encoded, ABI decoded, hash with KK by 256 algorithm, verify signature, optimizing gas, byte-wise operator and uncheck math. So these are the modules we're going to discuss in this particular roadmap, which you have to learn. You have to know the importance of each module. Once you have the clear understanding of all of this module, then you can be a good smart contract developer. And this roadmap is for 1 month, so I'll try to keep only those things which is important. And I already have a complete Solidity course which you can find on my YouTube channel, which I will link in the I button in the description, so you guys can understand each and every single concept we have discussed in this entire module. So let's talk about the very first module we'll have in the list is primitive data type. Every single programming language has its own data type, its own way to declare data. The same thing goes into the primitive data type, which you have to know that what is primitive data type and how you can declare in the contract, in the function calls. Second module we'll have in the list is variables. So programming language has its own variables which you can utilize to build the entire function calls, entire data structure in the programming language. JavaScript we have let, const and var. So these are the three data types we have in JavaScript. In the same way, we have a couple of variables in Solidity smart contract like unt, boolean, strings. So there is a tons of variables which you can use to define. So you have to know about variables. Then you have to know the constants, that what is constant in the contract and how you can define it. And what are the implications, what are the impact it will have when you will define a constant variable in the contract. Then you have to understand that what is immutable, how immutable work. What are the changes you can do in the immutable, both in the times of function call and when declaring at the very first place in the contract. So immutable. Now comes to the reading and writing to a state variable. So what are the ways you have to write and read the data from the state variable? Imagine that we have declared state variable in our contract. So how we can change the data in the state variable, how we can read the data. So you have to know the functions way of reading, the constructor way of reading, and the way you can optimize and update the data. So you have to know how to read and write the state variable way. So you have to know that what is the native token system for a particular blockchain. So here we are talking about Ethereum. So ether is the native currency of Ethereum, but it has sub units. It has small donations, like in dollar we have cents, in rupee we have paisa. In the same way, ether has its sub small category. So you have to know that when the transaction is taking place on the smart contract, it's happening mostly in terms of way. Okay, so you have to know the difference and how you can define the contract. Then comes the gas price and gas, that what it is. When you will do any transaction on the blockchain, or when you do any changes in the state variable, or when you will put any data inside the smart contract, you have to pay certain gas fee, and that's depend on a lot of reason the gas price will get calculated. So you have to know that how the gas price is getting calculated. Now comes the if else statement. So when you will write the smart contract, you're definitely going to build logic. You're going to check certain condition, you're going to perform certain action based on the user input or based on the condition and interaction of the user with your smart contract. So that's you're going to build with the help of if else statement. So the same structure we are following in the JavaScript, the same structure we have here in the if else statement. And by the way, if you don't know, I have a complete roadmap for JavaScript developer, which I will link in that button in the description, so you guys can follow that. So after if else statement, we have for loop and while loop. If you are coding in JavaScript, any other programming language, these two loops you will find here. So you have to know that how you have to declare while loop in the smart contract, for loop in the smart contract, and what are the bad consequences you will have if you utilize it. Because when you will use these kind of loops, it will create huge gas consumptions, and you don't want that your contract behave like that. It will work fine, but it will create huge problem, and it's not gaps optimized, and it's not recommend to use the loops in the contract. Okay, so once you're done with this for loop and while loop, you have to know that what is mapping, how you can use mapping, how you can define mapping, how you can retrieve data from the mapping, how you can create mapping and store data in proper way. Okay, so you have to know that what is the utility of the mapping we have in the smart contract. Then array, about array, that what it is and how you can declare in the smart contract. Because declaring array in the smart contract, Solidity programming language, and declaring array in JavaScript and Java is different. There are ways to declare array and there are ways to update the array in the contract. So you have to know that how array exactly work in the smart contract scenario we should utilize it, and what impact it create when it's come to gas consumptions. You have to know about that. Then you have to know about the enum, that what is enum in the contract. So when you want to build options and provide actions based on that, then you define enum. Enum is a really very important concept if you want to check the state of anything. So just imagine that I have created a voting application which has 3 different states: starting, going on, and ending. So these 3 states you can manage with the help of enum. So you have to know that how you can build the state. And again, I have a complete project on voting tab which you can follow, and I have an NFT marketplace, Uniswap, so you can follow this entire where we have built huge smart contract, and that will give you amazing idea. After the enum we have struct. So you have to know that how you have to define a struct. A struct, just like an object, it's act like an object which you can define in the contract to store the data. So just imagine that I have created an NFT and I want to assign certain information to that NFT, like product ID, NFT ID, name, description, price, whether it's sell or not. So these are the information I want to assign, and I can do in multiple way. I can store it in a array, or I can use it struct, which is more optimized and gas efficient. So you have to know about struct. You have to know about the data location, that what is data location in the smart contract, what are the data location types we have. So we have storage, we have memory, we have call data. So each one of these storage location has its impact in the contract when it's come to calling the function. So when should we use storage, when we should use memory, when we should use call data. So you have to know the importance of each one of these storage type. After the data location, we have function. So how you can define the function, what are the ways we have function, and what are the restriction we have in the function which we have to consider while building the smart contract and for keeping it safe. So function. Now after the function, we have this view and pure function. So you have to know that these keywords plays a huge role in the smart contract when it's come to looking up the data and when it's come to retrieving the data. So just imagine that you want to just get the data from a state variable. In that context, you have to use this view keyword, because if you use the pure keyword, it's not going to give you the data. So if you want to check any data from the state variable, then you have to use view keyword. But if you want to check the data within the function, then you have to use the pure keyword. So you have to know that how it's work. Again, I have a complete tutorial on each one of these topics which you can follow right up here. Okay, then you have to know that how you can handle error in the contract. What are the ways to handle error, how you can define the classes constructor like a function which can handle all the error for you. So you have to know about it, error handling in the smart contract, and the type of error handling we have. Then comes the modifier, that how you can use modifier concept to reusable certain logic. So just understand one thing, that modifiers are a reusable functions. If you want to check certain condition over and over again, you can use modifier function to do that. After that, we have events. Events are very important concept if you are a dApp developer. So we have 2 different developer, one blockchain developer, core blockchain developer, and the other one we have a Solidity smart contract dApp developer. So when you will fetch the information from the blockchain, in those contexts, events going to play a huge role. You have to define the events in the contract. So it's become very easy to retrieve the data from the blockchain in form of event, and that will cost you less amount. If you store the data as a state variable, you have to pay higher money for that. So you have to know that how events exactly work. After the event comes the constructor. So you have to know that how constructor is defined, how you can define in the old version if you're writing the smart contract, how you can define in the new version, what are the utilities we have, why we should utilize it, how we can utilize in a proper way with argument or without argument. So you have to know everything about the constructor. After the constructor comes the inheritance. Inheritance is really powerful, that how the data is getting inherited, how you can utilize it to create a better smart contract. So you have to know inheritance. After that, we have showing inherited state variable. You have to know what it is, how it's work, how you can define it. So that one is also a very important concept. After that comes the calling parent contract. So if you have a multiple contract, or maybe your contract is dependent on any other contract, so you have to know that how you can call that particular contract to get the data in the contract which you have created. So you have to know how you're going to interact with the parent contract or the child contract. You have to know about it. Then comes the visibility, how you can use the visibility concept in the Solidity programming language, because we have multiple visibility. We have external, public, private, internal. So you have to know how you can utilize this 4 visibility in the contract, and what are the impacts it create, and what kind of accessibility it provide to the user, to the function or caller. Okay, visibility. Then you have to understand that what is interface. Interface is really powerful, which allow you to which will help you a lot in multiple ways. So if you want to create a function and you want to declare a function and you want to call it, you can do it by passing an argument very easily. So you have to know that how interface exactly work. Then we have the payable keyword. So you have to know that when you should use the payable keyword, what are the way we can define the payable keyword, and why we should define it. When you are transferring fund from one account to the another account, or when you are receiving, then you have to define the payable keyword. What is the logic? So you have to understand every single thing about the payable. Again, a huge tutorial is explained, I already have on my channel, explained extensively in detail, so make sure to watch that. Then comes the sending ether. Then comes the sending ether. So sending ether, we have 3 different methods. We have transfer, send, and calls. So right now, transfer is not the recommended one which you have to follow for transferring the fund from one account to another, because it has some critical bug. You can follow the call method, which one is more optimized and more secure as for the Solidity community. So make sure to follow call function instead of transfer and send. After this topic, you have to learn about fallbacks, that how you can define the fallback and how it's exactly work when it's receiving the fund or when it's sending the funds, how it exactly is behave in the contract, and where you can define it. So you have to know the fallback. After that, we have call. This one is again very important concept which you have to know, that what is the purpose of this call keyword in the contract and what functionalities bring to the user who created the contract. After the call, we have delegate calls. So there are some conditions which you want to build and we want to apply in certain way. So you have to know this delegation will help you a lot in that. After the delegation, you will talk about you have to learn about the function selector, that how you can select the specific function, what are things, how you can do that. So that's the topic you have to learn after the delegation call. Once you're done with the function selector, you have to learn about calling other contract. And that one is the most common thing which you're going to do when you will going to work with multiple contracts. So just imagine that there is already contract deployed on a particular change. For example, take a Uniswap contract, which is already deployed on Ethereum, and you want to call the contract and you want to get the information out of it, or you can do the trade of the token on using Uniswap protocol. So on that time, you're definitely going to call different contract in your contract. So you have to know how you can do that. After that, you have to learn about try and catch, which again help you a lot if you really want to handle error. But this one is not that recommended, but it's always better that you have to utilize it when it's necessary. After that, you have to understand that how you can import the libraries, how you can import the contracts within the contract from external sources, and how you can utilize this import keyword and how it's worked. Then you have to know about it. Then we have the libraries. So right now we have popular libraries like Chainlink, Oracles, OpenZipLink, which saves a lot of your time. It will help you to write the smart contract faster. You can use their classes and all the pre-built contract as your own to build your contract and deploy faster. You have to know how to utilize this library. You have to learn about ABI encoded. So when you will deploy the contract, you will get an ABI of your contract. So you have to know that what are the things are there in the ABI, how you can encode that to understand that what is there exactly, because your ABI is the blueprint of the contract which you have created, and the chain, the blockchain or Ethereum or Polygon, wherever you would deploy your contract, it's going to read the ABI. Okay, so you have to know that how you can encode that ABI and how you can decode that. So these are the two topics you have to cover, and there are tools which you can use it, like we have Ether.js, we have Web3.js, which allow you to do that. Okay, after that, you have to understand that what is hashing with Keka byte 256 look like. So how you can hash the data by following this particular algorithm within your smart contract. So you have to know about it. Then comes the verifying signature, that how you can verify the signature. This one is again very important topic when you are working in the field of DeFi, where you're definitely going to use a lot. After that comes to the gaps optimization. Again, this one is the most important topic which you have to know, because when you will write the contract, when you will define your state variable, when you will define the function within the contract, you have to check every single variable that you have defined, it not causing high gas amount, because when you will deploy the contract, you have to pay money for that. And if you are deploying your contract on Ethereum blockchains, you know that right now the Ether price is really very high. You will pay more amount. So you have to know that how you can build your contract in such a way that you have to pay less gas fee for doing the transaction, for both for the deployment and for the user as well. This is a byte-wise operator. Again, this one is a really important concept which will tell you that how you can utilize it, what is the function, what is the role of the byte operators in the contract, and how it's exactly work. And the last one we have is the unchecked math. So right now we have math libraries, other things, how exactly it work, what is the concept behind that. So all of this topic which you have to follow if you really want to become a Solidity smart contract developer within a 1 month of Solidity programming language within this 1 month. And you will understand every single thing. Now let's talk about the condition which I stated in the very first of the video. So it would be really good for you if you start working with the JavaScript first, because if you look at the Solidity programming language and if you look at the JavaScript, they are 90% similar. The same class structure you can follow if you know JavaScript. In that we have ECMA 6 class structure. The same structure you're going to follow in Solidity programming language, and it's really so powerful. We have all of the function which you will find in JavaScript. That's all we have in this Solidity programming language, but it has a little bit difference in the way of you declare. So I would highly suggest you that first master the entire JavaScript which you have followed. I'm not telling you to be master in that. Just learn parallelly. If you are learning about the primitive data types, we have primitive data types in JavaScript as well. So understand that as well and this as well, and then compare it together. And that way you will have a faster learning. So I have a complete tutorial on each one of this topic, which again I will link the complete playlist in the I button in the description so you guys can follow that. And hope this entire thing makes sense to all of you guys. If you follow this for the next 1 month, it will help you a lot becoming a better JavaScript or Solidity smart contract developer. So that's the only thing I'm going to talk about. If you have still any confusion in doubt, do let me know in the comment section. And after completing all of these topics within a 1 month, you can build the project we have on the channel. NFT marketplace, we have Uniswap clone, we have a supply chain management project. So we'll have close to 10 project. Start building on the project. Gives 2 months for building on a project. Okay, so first month you're going to focus on the JavaScript on the Solid. So first month you're going to focus on the Solidity programming language completely. After that, the next 2 months you're going to focus on the project. So we have 10 project. Build all of the 10 project. Build all of the 10 project. It will build your portfolio and it will give you a better understanding. So hope you guys have found this video valuable. If you still have any confusion, end doubt, do let me know in the comment section. I will try to help in that. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.